Begin with the basic differences between glycolysis, the Krebs cycle, and electron transport chain. Glycolysis occurs first, and then the Krebs cycle, and then the electron transport chain. One of the basic differences between those three things are where they occur. Glycolysis occurs in the cytoplasm. The Krebs cycle occurs in the matrix of the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell. It's just like this little thing that has folds in them. And then the electron transport chain occurs in the inner mitochondria membrane. And then another difference is glycolysis is a straight pathway, which means it occurs in a line, and then once it's done, it's done. And same with the electron transport chain. It occurs in a line, and then once it's done, it's done. Whereas the Krebs cycle occurs in a circle, and so it keeps going and going and going. And then another main difference between those three are the amount of ATP that is formed in each cycle. And ATP is basically just energy that comes out of energy that the cells use later on that come out of the cycle. And so glycolysis and the Krebs cycle produce together only 4 ATP, which is not very much. Whereas the electron transport chain produces between 34 and 36 ATP, which is where a majority of the energy comes from during the cell. Another main difference is that the electron transport chain requires oxygen, whereas glycolysis and the Krebs cycle do not require oxygen in order for the process to occur. And then next is the glycogenesis, and this is where it forms glycogen into glucose, whereas glycogenolysis, something, the next one, don't really know. It converts glycogen to the glucose 6-phosphate, and the glycogenesis mainly occurs in the skeletal muscle and liver, whereas glycogenolysis sometimes it forms what's called free glucose, so it's not necessarily bound to anything, and that can be secreted into the blood, and that's the main difference between all of them. The base